like specific questions or anything about the test?
I just want to really work on the multiple choice stuff because for like the short answers, those aren't that bad.
Okay, sure. So I guess we'll just grab like a practice test or something.
The multiple choice stuff, like.
No, I was saying that do you want me to go online and get like a practice test or something, and we'll look at the multiple choice from one of those?
Yeah.
Like that sort of thing? Okay, sure. So let's see. Is there any specific multiple choice one that you want to go over, or just any like the practice finals?
Not any practice, because like I just want to go through it because they were saying that you should use you should trace it and stuff like that, but I don't know how to do it like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Alright, yeah, so when you're going to trace something, that's with a table. So what you're going to do there, you're basically just going to make a table. Well, there's already a table basically provided to you on the exam, like that's as part of like the scratch paper, and you're really going to use that. So it's mainly just like tracing the value of the variables. So I'll just make like a simple thing right here, just so we can see. And were you able to download the review sheet as well? Were you able to download the review sheet and stuff? Because I also made like a review sheet and stuff for you guys. Did I send you the link to that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Alright, so let's see. Make this a little bigger. Okay. So you can see that good, right?
Yeah, I can see.
Okay. I'm just trying to see when my tablet's not working. Alright, no big deal. Okay. So we have correlate here, and then they're making an empty dictionary, so position equals 0. So the way we start tracing this right away is, let's say we put D.
Hold on a second, I can't see the screen.
Yeah, sure.
How do I get back to this? It's not showing me your. Oh wait, it's starting the video.
Is there like a significant lag or something?
No, it says starting video right now.
Oh, okay.
Wait, but this is all gonna be on YouTube, right?
Yeah, this is.
Alright, cool.
Can you see it now?
Or? They're gonna put up the room. No, I still can't see it.
Oh. Maybe if I stop sharing the screen and then share with you again? I don't know. Let's see. I don't know if there are like other options for me to choose here. Still can't see it?
No, it's not working for some reason.
That didn't work.
Oh,
Did you got it now?
I see it. Oh wait. Oh man, it's on the way.
Oh man.
Yeah, I see it now. I see it.
You see it? Okay, cool. So the way you trace is basically you would have these lines and columns here, and what you do, let me make these. I'll just make good lines here. So basically, up across the top here, you basically have your variables. So you'd have like, let's say D. You could also have like position. What else? So character. And you could abbreviate too. So that sort of thing. And then
Wait, these are just all for These are all the variables?
Yeah, so basically, like, this is the process of, like, tracing the code. So the way you trace the code is you put, like, the variables at top. So basically, on the test itself, you're going to have on the answer sheet or, like, coming with the test, there's going to be, like, a little bit of scratch paper, but there's also going to be, like, tables. And what they basically expect you to do here, like, it's not going to be graded, but, like, it's like, expected that you're going to, like, trace it, because that helps you to get to the right answer, like, a lot better than just, like, looking at it and guessing. And basically, what they say to do is you take, like, each variable, and you basically put it up top, and then across the side here, you're going to put, like, your line number. So this is going to be, like, lines. And I'm sorry for the bad handwriting. My tablet's actually not working right now. But we have lines here, and then this would be, like, line 1 or line 2. So basically over here, you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4. And for each corresponding with each of these lines, right? And then what would happen is that you'd say, like, okay, line 2, the value of D at line 2 is like an empty dictionary. Right? So then the value at line 3 of position is 0. And the whole point is that, and also expressions too. So, like, for example, D at character, even though that's not a variable itself, that expression you would put up top here. And then, so you'd say, like, you know, after these, you'd say at some point, you know, line 5, and you'd say that, you know, the value of that is, you know, whatever it is. And the whole point is that you're basically systematically going through it, and that at the end here, you're going to end up getting the value of this, because the value of this is going to in some way be tied to the value of these variables, and you're going to see at the end, you know, whenever you're going to, like, return -1, or you're gonna see exactly the value of those variables, so that you're gonna be able to get the output, like, really easily. So if I pull up another one, I wanna find one that's, like, a really good example of, like that'll be easy to do with this. I guess question 5, because it wouldn't take, like, some of these could take a few minutes to actually, like, trace through, but this one is, like, a really good, really solid example. This one right here. Alright, so, like, if we were going to do something like this, and I'll just make a quick table. So with this type of thing, the way I'd actually go through this, actually, without even tracing this, what I'd actually do is I'd probably just come in here and just say, okay, this right here, this is like 0, this is 1, and then 0, 1. And basically, so what I do, so when it's saying this, it's saying, like, characters at 1. So what do you think this is gonna, like, print out?
We're doing question 5?
For question 5, yeah. Oops.
1, 0. We're gonna go to the 1 in the dictionary and then print.
Yeah, exactly. So it's gonna go to the 1 in the dictionary, right? So it's gonna go to this guy right here, because that's the key of 1, and then add 0 here. Let's type this out real quick, just to see, because right now it's saying at 1, so D at 1. So if we were to just do chars at 1 there, that would come out Dumbledore. But the fact that it's saying at 0 there, let's see what that's going to do. So chars equals. Actually, I should be able to just copy and paste this straight from the thing here. Copy, paste. D, right? So basically the way we went through was that this is a string right here, so we got to be aware of our data types, right? Because this is a string, and then at 0 means the first letter in that string, or the first character in that string. So do you see why I did that?
D.
It's just gonna be D. So this choice A, letter D.
Okay.
See what I'm saying? Because First, it went to at that dictionary there.
If it wasn't
Mm-hmm. Oh no, I was just saying the string there. This is a string, and it went to element 0 of the string. Do you get it?
Why would it be just the whole word?
It would be just the whole word if we didn't have that 0 there. If it was just chars at 1, then it would be good. But because it's not that, then now it's actually the first character in that word.
Okay.
You see? So now let's find. I'm actually gonna find a better example to actually trace through with you because that was your specific question. True, not false. Okay, yeah, we could do something like this. This looks like a good one. Actually, just go here. Okay. Alright, so for this one, I'm just going to make a quick table right next to them. We'll just go through it. Alright, so when we have this right here, right, so we're going to start out with all, this is our lines. Right, and now, so here, so we have bools equals this. So we know that bools, right, so bools is going to equal some sort of list with all this stuff in there. And then we know that count is going to equal 0. So that's going to be, so there's going to be line 1, and this is going to be line, well here it's written as line 3, so we'll just call it line 3. Line 3 count starts at 0. So you see how up top here we got our variables, and then here we have our line numbers? You see what I'm saying? So that's so this is like the whole process of tracing code is writing down the variables and then the line numbers here, and then as you go through each line, right? So as we number these 2, 3, we're just seeing the value for each of them. And the whole point is that instead of guessing at a solution, we're gonna find out the exact value of those variables at the time that, you know, for whatever the question is asking. So like for expression in bool, so expr is going to be another one, expr.
Yeah, I see.
And that's, so that's going to be then, we have count here. Okay, so if we just went through real quick, so true or not true, right? So what do you think that's going to be? Right, so you got that or, and you got that not. So what's the value of this first part here?
For true and not true?
Well, true or not true, yeah. So we have true or false.
True, right?
Yeah, it would be true, right? Because true or false is just true.
Well, we want the value. It would count.
Well, just for the value in this list right here. So this is true. Not false is true, right? Not true, so that's false, but that's true, right? Not false and true, that's true, and not true or false. Well, that's false or false. That's false. All right. So out of this whole thing, we have 4 trues and we have 1 false, right? So now we could just go through it. So we could just say count equals 0. So for expression in bools, if expression count plus equals 1, and so you know this syntax here, right? If expression, right? So basically, so a lot of people when they're writing code, you know, at the beginning stages, they would say if expr equals true, right? Like you've seen that sort of thing before, where like you're saying if that variable equals true.
Yeah.
But this just saying if expr is actually like sort of the professional standard way of doing it. That means the same exact thing. It's just you don't need this here. That means the same thing, right? So it's just saying if that expression is true. So I'm not sure if they taught you that yet or not. But basically, this is the same thing as that, right? So all this is saying is for each one that's true, we're going to add 1 to the count. So I mean, the way of tracing it and doing it, we'd write, okay, well, line line 6 makes the count plus equal 1, and then up here expression, you know, so then up here we say at line 4, expression now becomes true, and we keep going through it like that. But I mean, just from looking at it now that we broke it down like that, we automatically know that count's just going to equal 4, right? And it's going to print out count, and that should be 4, right? So you see how that happened?
Yeah.
Right, because we have 4 truths, right? And this is going to below the if, that's going to execute every time that this is true. So then that's going to execute a total of 4 times. So let's see. Were there any specific multiple choice ones you wanted to go through?
Robin?
Did you have any like specific ones you wanted to go through with the multiple choice?
No, I just wanted to go through like any random one, just checking to see how to do the tracing stuff as well.
Okay. So did that answer your question there?
Like that.
With like making the table and stuff?
Yeah.
Nice.
For like all the different kind of multiple choice questions.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, so I'll show you another. Let's see another type. Sure. Let's see. Turtles are harder to do with tracing, but I would say for a turtle question, I'd say you could even draw something out. Yeah. So which type of question did you want? Like you wanted
for turtle question, I got those.
Okay. Cool. So let's see. Yeah. So if any of these look, or we'll even jump to another practice exam if you want. That was the fall one of last semester. Let's see if they have anything good on like the spring one. So we did one with a count already. Let's see. What about this, like indexing and stuff? You want to see one of those?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So yeah, so we'll just do question. We'll do question 4 here. All right. Cool. So we'll just start off making the table. So basically on the exam, you're not going to have to make the table; they make it for you. So you're just going to have to fill it in to trace. So we'll just make this here, a couple of columns. Okay, so we know that this is going to be line number. This is going to be titles. This is going to be double. Right, so what are some of the other ones that we're going to fill in there? Right, so we got titles, double. Probably going to want to fill title in, right, up top here. Title. For I and range lane title. Yeah, so that should be about it, right? Because those are our variables and our expressions here. So I'll just change the color real quick to orange. All right, so line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So for the first one, right? First one, we know that titles gets all that stuff in it. Double for line 2 becomes an empty list. For title and titles, right? So at this first line here, at this 3, title is going to become Ulysses. Right, now for I in range, length of title minus 1. So what's the length of title? So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So that's going to be for I in range 3. Now, so I at line 4 is going to start at 0. And then if title at I, so what is title at I here?
One second.
Yeah, sure.
Title. Hold on a second. I'm gonna, because I'm actually on my phone right now. Hold on. I'm trying. open this up on my laptop. Just
okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll see if I could get this tablet to work too, so that I could write better.
hold on.
Hey, how are you guys doing that just joined? Okay. Yeah, so we have two other guys who are signing in right now. Call failed. Alright, so the call failed from one guy. I don't know why that happened. Let's see what we're gonna do. So you could still hear me, right, so? Let's see. So how many of you guys can see my screen? Can you see my screen right now? So you guys still there? So can any of you guys hear me? Because I can't hear anyone so far, so I'll see if I can look at some of the settings. Hey guys, can you guys hear me yet? Hey Adil, can you hear me? By any chance? able to hear me now, Adil?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, I can hear you now. Yep, cool. Okay, I'm not sure if there's like 2 or 3 other guys trying to get on. I'm not sure if they're on yet. I definitely want to check to see if they're on. Let's see here. Yeah, I can still hear you. I'm just trying to figure out why these other guys can't join the call. There were like 2 other guys trying to join the call, but for some reason they're not able to hear me, I guess. Let's see. Not on this call. Okay, so it seems like Vincent's on the call, but it doesn't look like Samuel is. Yeah, it still seems like they're loading in. Okay, Vincent was able to join. Okay, yeah, so it looks like things are good on Vincent's end. I'm not sure about Samuel. I might have to add him to my contacts. Okay, well, I guess we could just continue, and I guess they'll join in when they're ready.
Alright.
Okay, cool. So where were we? We were just saying, okay, I is so I starts out at 0, right? And then we're saying if title at I, right? So title at 0. So that's if you, right? Because you is the character there, the first character in the string. So we're saying if you equals I plus 1. So if u equals L, then we're going to append title to the empty dictionary double that we made, right? But u doesn't equal L, right? So when we say this is false, right? So we're not appending anything. So now we're continuing to go through and we're saying...
What is saying if...
What were we saying?
I was saying, it's saying if the both letters are the same, then you would have to add them, right?
Right, exactly. If both letters are the same, then you're gonna add the letter to the list. So it's saying for that one, so we're still no, right? So then we go back to this for loop here for I in range length of title. Right, so length of title. So actually, oh no, length of title here. Title, sorry, I misread that. It's not titles, it's title. So for title and title, so for each of these words, right? For each of these words, so that is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. For each of these words, we're going through each word for the length of words. So Ulysses, right? And this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the length of this is 7. This is 7 letters. So what it's saying here is that for I in range length of title minus 1, so for I in range 6, if the letter here equals the letter next to it, then we're going to append it. So that's not this first one's not true. Then we go to 1 and 2 and we analyze these two. That's not true. 2 and 3, we analyze those two. 3 and 4, well, those two are right. Right? So now we're adding title, right, which is this, we're adding that to our empty list. And basically what it's saying is that for each of these, which of these words has two things next to it, two letters that are the same next to each other. That does, and this doesn't, because these two are a different case. One's lowercase, one's capital, right? So for this one, it's just saying that, yeah, so it's just saying Ulysses and Typhoon. So, oh, and Brigadoon, this one. So then it would be Ulysses, Typhoon, Brigadoon. And we'll just check that with the with idle real quick. We'll check that. We'll just copy and paste the code right in. Okay, yep, and we got it right. So basically the way to trace the code is, what we did here was we figured out the pattern when we were tracing the code, and then we just used that pattern to figure out the question. So that's that one. So do you have any specific ones from this test also that you want to go through here? Or we'll just pick out another one that's different?
No, not really any specific.
Okay.
Just any random question would be fine.
Let's see. Alright, yeah, let's check out this file question, because we haven't done a file one yet. So we're going to do question 9 here. Alright, so for this one we're going to look at, so this whole file right here, this whole contents of the file is in thunder.txt, right? And now after the execution of the code, what is the content of the file thunder.txt? So this first line here opens the file for reading, right? This one opens another file for writing, so we know that if that file doesn't exist, it's going to be created. And then we have like for line and in file, we dot lower. Okay, so this would be a good one to trace through too. So we'll just use the same thing that we did. So we'll just make a table basically. So we'll have this and then this.
I can't see the video anymore.
Oh, you can't see the video anymore? Did that work?
No, but yeah.
It did? Okay, cool. Yeah. So, yes, now we're just making the table real quick. So, we don't really need to make these variables because we already know like what these are. They're not going to change. We just open these up. You know, so unless we explicitly change them in the program. But what we can do is we can say line and in file, right? So line is going to be one of the variables. Right, and this I'll just change the color so you know this is line this is just the line number here, and then let's see, this is if we in the line dot lower. Okay, so we're gonna need line dot lower up here because it just helps sometimes to have the expressions too. Line dot lower, out file dot right line. Okay, yeah. So this one is a little bit. I guess we'll just have to go through line by line, like to trace it, because there's not many variables here. But if we just look at it, so for each line, if these two characters in this sequence here, so if the string we is anywhere in that line, then it's gonna basically
lowercase.
Yeah, it's just gonna well the lowercase that's to check. So it's checking if in the lowercase line the string we appears, but then it's gonna write that whole line to with the uppercase to the file. So what we're going to do, so we'll take a look at this.
It's asking if we is lowercase in the line, then they're going to write that whole line out?
Well, what it's doing is first it's lowercasing the line, so then this is like a lowercase line now, right? So it's lowercasing the line, and then it's saying if we is inside of the lowercase line.
Oh, okay.
Right? So we're going to take this first one here, right? And when we make that lowercase, W-E-L-L, we already see right here that we is in it, right? So we know the first one, we know that that's going to be added later on to our thing, right? To our other file, right? Now we go, these two lanes will take us anywhere. Well, I don't see in there, I don't see any any W or E next to each other. But then here in this third line I do. And then to trade in these wings on some wheels, well, none of that seemed like it is. So it seemed like the only two lines that we were into the file are this first line and this third line here. Right, so now if we just take a look, well, the knight's bursting open.
Yeah.
We got one less chance to make a reel, so it would be choice B would be our answer here. So for this one, we didn't even really have to write out all the lines. We just had to look and say, okay, now that we know what it's doing. So to go back to your question of why that would be like that, if we inline dot lower. Yeah, so what this is doing here, it's not lowercasing the line to write to the file, it's lowercasing, it's just checking if this, right, if this is inside of the line lowercase.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's see, what else? And hopefully our friends were able to join us. Yeah, I'm going to assume that they were able to. Add people to this call. Add these guys. Add to call. Okay, so hopefully they'll get through. Let's see, what else? So what else did you want to go over? Did you want to go over just more multiple choice?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's try this one. Looks like a cool one. Because this will have like dictionaries and stuff, so this will be good practice for us. No, don't save. Okay. So this is the list of like the presidents, and then they just want us to print presidents at 1. Right. So what do you think that that's going to be?
Wouldn't it be Washington?
Well, all right. So let's see. Let's take a look. So when we're doing this with dictionaries, so the usual syntax is dictionary key. Well, in the square brackets. So if we just copy and paste this real quick to editor, what we'll find, if we say, right, and then we'll say print this. Right, so key error 1. Right, so the reason it's not Washington is because this right here is a key value that should be supplied, and that'll give you the value. Right, so the key is your input, the value is your output, but here they're saying that this is, so if we break this down here, this element of this dictionary, this is the key, and this is the value. So what we're doing here is we're basically, yeah, you're trying to use a value as a key. So this right here, this is a value, not a key. So if it were the other way around, then it was 1 Washington.
So the key is on.
Yeah, I was just gonna say if it was 1 Washington, then it would print Washington. But since it's not 1 Washington, it's Washington 1, then it's not gonna print Washington. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. But would that answer be key error 1 then, or would it be none of the above?
It would be key error 1. Because see, if you look at our Python thing, it's key error 1. So a key, like I don't want to say like a key to remember, like a play on words, but a solid thing to remember for the exam is you kind of want to go through your errors, because this one right here, you could see that if the person didn't know, taking the test, didn't know, what type of error they'd get, then you'd be stuck between these two. So I say one thing to do is definitely take a look at the textbook and the errors that you get, and definitely try some of this stuff out, because here, like now you know that anytime you try to use a value as a key or some sort of invalid key, you're going to get a key error there. So I mean that's important because in case it shows up on the test, you want to make sure you know some of these errors. And it's not just a key error, because if we look at some of these other tests here, I'm not sure what other years we could go to, but if we look at some of the other tests, there's all kinds of errors that show up on the finals. Let's see. This one might have a different. Yeah, so each year, I don't want to say like one question has an error. Yeah, what's up?
For like the question that we just did, if it said for the key instead of input 1, it said Washington.
That would be wrong.
Would the answer be 1? Evan?
Oh wait, okay. I see what you're saying. You're saying if it said Washington instead of 1 right here.
If it said presidents,
At Washington.
Instead of saying 1, it said like Lincoln or something like that.
Washington, yeah. Then it would be 1.
Oh, okay, cool.
Then the answer would be 1, yeah. So the whole problem here is that there's a key and there's a value, and instead of saying the key, they said the value here. That was the whole issue there. So that's why Python's telling us that specific value doesn't exist as a key in there. If we look at like other errors, like I'm sure there's other ones. See, like right here, syntax error they have. So there's a bunch of things that it's not just testing you on one thing. It could be a whole bunch of errors. So you got to make sure that you know all those errors as well. Or name error right here. Name T is not defined. So a name error that would occur right when you try to use a variable that's not defined. So if we look at this one. Yeah. So see, this one wouldn't give us a name error because T is a parameter. But you see, you get my drift though.
Yeah, I get it.
Let's see. Any other of these look interesting to you?
Can we do question 4?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so for this one, we're definitely going to need a table because there's so many variables here. Okay, so let's see. So the first one right here, right, so of course there's just the line number. Alright, so the first variable is word, right? The second variable is sub. Third variable is a cum. The fourth variable is, variable like right here is let, right? And then sublet. And then cum break. Okay, we got all of them. So I guess we'll just go through this like one at a time. So the first line, let's do it this way. Let's make it like that. Okay. So I'll just make these little divisions here just so we have a place to write. Okay, and now change this to blue. So for line 1 here, so this is just line 1. So the best thing to do also is number your lines on an exam, just so that you can see what's tied to what. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10 here. So word at 1, so this is the, right? And this is just at line 1. And then we have sub, this is just an empty string, and this is at 2. Then we have a cum, right? And this is an empty string at line 3. Line 4 for sublet and sub. Or actually, line 4 is for letter and word. Okay, so let's take a look at this real quick. So word at this to this. That should be a colon. This to this. Okay, so what do you think that's going to be? Right, because in order to get the value of let, we're going to need to know what this value is.
So shouldn't it be the words value for 1? Yeah.
Well, for 1, so that's a good starting point, right? 0, 1, 2. Right, so we're starting at 1. Right, so we're starting here, but what does this mean if there's nothing here?
Oh no, so it's gonna go to 2 then, right?
Yeah, it's gonna go to the end.
Okay.
So it's gonna say he, like that. Right, so basically, so with slicing here, so there's a few things to note, like just to note about this. So there are 3 possible values when you're slicing like that. So this is your start value, and when you do a start value, it's going to start at that index. So we started at H because H corresponded to 1 there. That was at index 1. But now the stop value, it's gonna this is non-inclusive. So this is like non-inclusive. So what that means is, what that basically means is, like, let's say stop value is 5, it's only going to go up to 4. If the stop value is 4, it's only going to go up to 3. You see what I'm saying? In other words,
Yeah.
anything here, you're going to have to minus 1 from the index that it's going to go up to, right? Because it's not going to reach you. Okay. And then this is the step value. So the step is sort of like, if you have a step of 1, it goes 1 at a time. If you have a step of -1, it goes backwards. If you have a step of 2, it goes by 2s. So step is kind of, how do we get from the start to the stop value? We got these two guys here. We have 1 and 5. How do we get between them? If we do a step value of 2, it's going to go 1, 3, 5. If we do a step value of 1, it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if we have a step value of -1, it's going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So that's just a key thing to note there. So we know that this is going to be he, right? So for let in he, right? So this is going to start out as an H, right? Because we're saying for, right? So for these two, there's two things in this sequence. So for the first one there, for sublet in sub, right? Accum plus equals, if let less than sublet, accum plus equals let, and then break. But then we're saying sub plus equals let here. So as of line 7, sub gets an H to it. Right, and pretend this was on the line above it. Right, so now we have sublet of that. Right, so now we say for let, so then E we have here, and for sublet in sub, right, so now we have this H here. So if let is less than sub, so is E less than H? So what do you think, is E less than H?
Yeah.
Yep. So then right. accum plus equals let, right? So then accum plus equals let.
When they're comparing letters, it's whichever one appears first in the alphabet, right?
Right, exactly. So like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. So E comes before H, so E is less than H.
Yeah.
Don't forget too, though, you have your capitals too. So you got to be aware of like which one of these comes first. So if we do
capitals, so capitals come before lowercase.
Well, let's see. So if we do like, let's say B less than B, right? But we got to put these in strings. True, right? So that's exactly it. The capitals come before the lowercases. So basically, you would have, you know, your uppercases and then your lowercases.
So the uppercase comes before the.
Right, exactly, and that's why we're able to say that this uppercase is less than this lowercase, because the lowercase comes later on, so it has like a greater value, sort of. And now let here was actually an an E, right? So let was an E, so that they wanted us to add that to accum, and then that's it. So now we finished executing, and now it's saying print that while we're printing out E right there. So our answer is choice D for that. So do you see how we got to that?
Wait, can you just go through it? Can you go through the
the process again? Yeah, sure.
Table real quick.
Mm-hmm. So when we were first starting out, we wanted to see what this stuff was initialized to, the first value it had. So word is equal to the, right? Sub, right? We made an empty string here. And actually, let me make a clean copy of the question, because it might be a little confusing the way I have it, because I wrote all over it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be back in a second. I just gotta go use the bathroom.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Yeah, back.
Okay, cool. So for this one here, yeah, so just going through it, so we basically, so first they started out initializing these variables to these values, right? And now they're asking us about for let in word 1 to this. So we determined that this was equal to HE. Right, so all this table is doing is we're saying at each line, which line these things got a certain value. Right, and at the end, we're able to determine that Akum got to E. So the way that we went through that was we said, okay, well, word is the starting at line 1. Sub is empty string starting at line 2. Akum is empty string starting at line 3. You get that part so far?
Yeah.
Okay. So then for let in word. So whenever we have for, don't even pay attention to the let. Just for anything and anything, it just means one of those elements in that sequence at first, starting at the beginning and going through to the end. So what we're saying here is first for H, right? And now for sublet and sub. Well, sublet and sub here, right? Sub is empty string, so it's just empty string right now, sublet. Right? So now they're saying if let is less than sublet, so is H less than the empty string? Well, we know that that it's not, but let's just type it in real quick just to see, just to be sure. So H less than empty string, and we get false, right? So we know that that's not true, right? So it's saying if let is less than sublet. Well, we don't have to worry about any of this right now because it's not less than it, right? But now, when we get to, but right here, indeterminate of that condition, right, no matter what, we're adding sub to let. And sub here was an H. So we're adding that, let was an H, and we're adding that to sub. So whenever we have an empty string plus a string of H, right, this becomes string of H. You see that? Did I lose you on that part?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have an if condition here, right? Which is if let is less than sublet. So let was an empty string, and we're saying let is an H, and sublet is an empty string. We're saying if that is less than empty string. So you get why that's false, right? Because we have an H in here, so an H is greater than an empty string. Right, you see that part?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we don't have to worry about this part of the code, because we didn't fulfill the condition. Right, so remember how we said if, and then if this condition is true, we're going to execute the body of code underneath it? Well, we didn't, it's not true up here for this one, it's false. So we don't have to worry about any of this code, we just ignore it. But what we do have to pay attention to is that right here, because it's on a different indentation level, right, if we look at this, this is indented at the same level as this. So this is only inside of this for loop. It's saying we want sub to plus equal letter. So when we go to our table, we see sub equals empty string right here, right? So we know that that's empty string, and we know that let here is H, right? So now all we got to do is say, okay, well, it's saying sub plus equals let. So now that's just going to get an H in it, right? So now what we're saying is, okay, so now sub is an H. So now sub down here in our table, sub becomes an H, and that's why I wrote that in here. Right? And now what they're saying is now we go back to the for loop here, and we got to go through this whole for loop again, because we still have an E to take care of. So now what we're saying is let is equal to E. Right? And this is going to change everything, because now when we go for sublet and sub, well, now the sublet is H, so now we have E and H. And we're saying if E is less than H, right, which we already determined was true, right, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, right, so we already determined that this is true. So now we do have to focus on this body of code here. And this body of code here says that Akum is going to plus equal let. So that's why Akum equals E here, because let was E, right? So we just simply, that just got added to, that just got concatenated. And break. So now we break out of this innermost loop here. We break out of that, and we're already done executing this. So then we just jump down to the print statement. So right now we have Akum equal to E. And then it's saying, okay, we'll print Akum. Well, that's E. Does that make more sense?
Okay.
Or do you want me to explain it one more time?
No, I got it.
You got it? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
What else? So are there any other ones that you want to go through? How do you do on the part 2s? Are you good with those? Like for the coding questions?
Can we do, like go down?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, for coding questions. I understand how to do the turtle ones. Those I know how to do.
Okay.
Can you go through 12?
Yeah, sure. So I'll just copy and paste this in like usual. Alright, so I think the best way to go through one of these is just make a little list of checkpoints that you want to, because it's going to tell you a bunch of like requirements, and that's the way like I used to do it, was you just write down, so let's see, write a function file stats. Okay, so you know the name of the function's got to be this, right? And it takes 2 string parameters, this one and this, and that, okay, so we know in file is the name of the input, and out file is the name of the output file, right? Then it should read and analyze the contents, and write the statistics compiles to output file. Right, so it basically wants you to take the input file and given that, write to another file the number of characters, the number of words, the number of lines, the number of digits, and the number of punctuation marks. Right, and each statistic is going to be written to a separate line. So this is key right here. So you got to remember that each has to be written to a separate line. So we'll underline that. Right, and then hint: the string class contains punctuation and digits like constants. Right, so this is the input file. This is an example of an input file, but the code that we have to write has to be general enough to handle any file that we input. So the way that, actually, let me type this out in here. I'll pull this up next to it, and we'll just type this out in here. So we'll just go to a new file here, and we just want to start this off. So I'll say, so help me out here. So define, right, and then what else are we going to do? File stats, right? I'm going to open this up, and we're going to say the first parameter is in file, the second parameter is out file. And then we're going to put a colon there. And then we're going to say, what else? Okay, so yeah, so now we got to see what we want to do. So
I had a question.
Yeah, sure.
Like, because I know some other people were taught, like, you do in file equals open.
Okay, wait. So you're saying like
that, but
okay,
that was like with a with statement, like with open.
Right, right. Oh, you're saying so they used like a with or something.
That way.
Oh, yeah. You do it that way?
Yeah, because that's how our professor taught us.
Okay, so how did he teach you? So he taught you with
open.
With open, and then like the file name.
File as.
Okay, yeah, so it's the same thing. So basically, with this one, when you say like inf equals open, and then like file name, and then like read or something like that, right? Like that. So all this is saying is that using open. So this is just switching the order. This is just saying using open, right? Read that file in as this variable. So that
our professor was telling us to use.
What do you say?
The width way, because like in case you forget to lose it, you don't lose points, because in the width one it closes by itself, right?
To be honest with you, I'm not sure on that one. We could check that out though. I got the Python documentation actually open right here. What was it? Yeah.
Okay.
Shoot, maybe I don't have it open. Let's see. So Python does with automatically close the file. Okay, yeah, so this is the file's going to close even if there's exceptions. So even if there's errors.
Yeah.
But whether or not it automatically closes, yeah, I mean it might. Let's see. Close the file.
Because he was saying use this way, because then at the end you don't have to write.
Yeah, I'd say write dot close.
File dot close, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, so you've done it that way and you haven't lost points?
Yeah, I did that way last time. I didn't lose points.
Okay, yeah, as long as, okay, then you're good. But, yeah, you could do it either way. So, yeah, we'll do it that way then. We'll say with, and then we'll say open, and we want to open in file. And we'll say as, and then we'll say variable. So, in F, maybe, and then we'll say with open, and then we'll say out file.
No, with this, actually, you can do it on the same line, too.
Oh, okay.
Showing us, like, after the INF, you can put a comma and just write open out file again.
And then write open.
Just put a comma. Open. Yeah, and then just do like a
out file. And then this is as like out F. Like that sort of thing?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So now we have those open as our variables, right? And now we're going to say where to function in file stats. Okay. So now we have to start making some decisions here. So first, I'd say write down like a little course of action for yourself. So the first thing, we want to open the files, right? Then we want to do something. Well, then, so that's opening the files for reading and writing. Then we want to actually do some sort of strategy here. So we want to use read line, or read lines. Use a read method, right? And not just read, but we can use any of the read methods to get what we want, right? So are you familiar with read line, and read lines? Do you know those?
I know what?
Read line, and read lines?
Yeah, I know.
Okay. So yeah, so we're going to do something like that. We're going to use one of those. So what we're going to do is, well, the number of characters, how would you go about that one? What do you think is the best one to use for that?
Read.
Read, yeah, exactly. And then,
right, because it reads the whole file.
Yep, exactly. And then what about the number of words?
Words you can't you do the same way too, or would you have to do by read line?
Well, you could read, but then you'd have to split at the empty space, right?
Yeah.
Split at the empty space. What about the number of lines? What if we just did len read lines? Wouldn't that work? Right? If we did read lines on the file and then took the length of it?
Yeah.
Number of digits? How would you do that?
Digits.
I'd say read in the file contents with read, right? And then have a for loop, go through each letter, and see if that letter was inside of the constants, punctuation, and digits from the string module, right? And the same thing for the punctuation marks, right? So we'll go through this step by step. So our first thing is we want the number of characters. So for the number of characters, we want to say, so I guess file read, or actually read file equals inf.read, right? And now we're going to say characters equals length read file. So do you see what we did here? We just took the length of the read file. We're just taking the length of that string there.
Yeah, I see.
Right. So that gives us a number of characters. Now we want the number of words. Right? So now we're going to say, so we're just going to do read.split. So now we're going to say read file 2 equals read file dot split. And now we split that up. Now we have words. So now we're going to say length We're going to say length of read file 2. Right, and
so where's the length of read file 2?
What do you say?
So it'll be the words equals the length of read file 2.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, exactly. And then we want the number of lines. So if you remember, we got that open file up there, which is inf. So what we'll do, we don't have to just use one read method. We could use multiple. So what we could do is say, read file 3 equals, and we'll say inf dot read lines. And then what we'll say is length of read, so num lines equals length of read lines. Of read file 3. Read file 3. Yep. And then the number of digits. For the number of digits, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to say, so we're going to want to, at the top here, we're going to want to import stuff. So import string, right? And we're going to say that for this one, we said we're going to read the file. So we could go back to our copy of the read file there, so the read file variable that we have, and we could say that for character in read file, and then we'll say if char in string dot digits. They're going to say digit count plus equals 1, but we didn't make a digit count yet. So what we'll do up here is we're going to say digit count equals 0, right? And then, so now we have digit count. And now what I'm going to do up here in anticipation, I'm going to say punct count equals 0, right? And now, so now we see for char in read file, if the char is in the string dot digits.
So we do the same thing that you did for the digits, just switch it with punctuation.
Right, exactly. So we just copy and paste this actually, and just change it to punctuation. And now, the only thing is they want us to write them to a new line each time. So now, basically, now we have all the statistics. So now we have to actually write to the file. So what we're going to say is outf dot write. We want to write, so first we're going to write the number of characters plus new line plus, then it's going to be words plus new line plus, then it's going to be num lines plus new line then it's going to be digits, right, or digit count plus new line, and then it's going to be punct count plus new line close that off. But now one thing we have here is it doesn't just say the numbers, it says characters, words, lines, digits. So the thing we're going to want to do is we're just going to say characters plus, and then words, right? So we're just making the string labels for them, sort of.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? And then lines, and then digits, and then punctuation, obviously. So that's how you'd solve that question. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. And the only thing is, yeah, and then if we didn't use the with, we just have to close the files. And that would be it. So then right there, we'd have full credit for that question. because, yeah, I believe we followed everything they wanted. So let's see. Is there another question you want to go through?
Oh, I have one question.
Yeah, sure.
With on that line with the with open in file as in INF and then out file as LF. Isn't there supposed to be a colon at the end of that, or no?
Is it?
I think there should be. There should be a colon, and then everything should be indented.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've never used that method before, so that's why I wasn't sure with that. Yeah, sure. That's okay. There you go. Cool. So then maybe then we should put these. I don't know how much it matters.
That's all you have to do for that problem.
Yeah, that'll be it. We'll just put these under there too. Cool. So that's what we have to do for that problem. So let's see. I mean, is there any topic that gives you trouble? Any specific, like, do you like dictionaries? Do you like lists?
Pardon?
Is there any specific, like, topic that gives you trouble, like lists or dictionaries or anything like that? Or is it just mainly multiple choice questions?
I just wanted to go over that tracing stuff, because, like they were saying, if you use tracing, it's a better chance that you get it right.
Yeah, exactly.
Because on the last exam, I did horrible on the multiple choice.
Oh, really? Yeah, there were a lot of kids that did really bad on the multiple choice. Like, even in our class, there was... And, I mean, we teach one of the honor sections, and so many people did bad because... I don't know, it was just... Maybe it was because... I know one of the questions was a dictionary question. It had, like, a trick question part to it. So I guess maybe it was because the trick was in one of the things that we just learned. I don't know. But definitely for the final, I think... You guys should definitely be ready for this stuff, because I think now you've seen it, most of it,
Yeah. Do you know what grade you need, like, on the final for, like, passing whatever, or what grade you need in the class to pass?
Right. So for the class, it varies. I'm pretty sure it would be around 60 to 65%. So basically, when we gave you the syllabus, right, it had the percentages of you need, 4% of your grade is office hours, right, stuff like that. So for each individual person, if you want to see what you need to get a certain grade, there's actually a great website for it. I think it's amazingGradeCalculator.com or something. Or Conquer College Grade Calculator. And the Amazing Grade Calculator, there it is. So the way that you would use this is what do you need to make a certain GPA in the class, or you just type this in. So for example, let's say an A plus, so see, like right here, like these are the grades, and then let's say we went up here, we said, okay, so I got a 100 on 4%, right? I went to all office hours, didn't miss any. Let's say the 6% discretionary, the professor says, okay, really good student, get a 90 on that. And then, but first exam, we got a 60, and that's, 20%, let's just say. Second exam, we got a 40, that's 20%, but we still got, like, the final exam or something. And this isn't obviously, like, all the percentages, but let's say we just put that in, and then we say, okay, calculate it, and it's going to tell us now what we need to get a certain thing. I think it, I don't know why it's not calculating it. I've used this like 100 times before.
So a 65 is a C, right?
Yeah, so a 65 would be around a C. 60 or 65, it all depends on the year. So they might bump that up a little bit, they might bump it down a little bit, depending on how people do. So that's basically, so if you're looking to get, like, let's say a C, right, you definitely want to see how you did on all your homeworks. You want to see how you did on all your tests. And then you basically want to see what grade you got to get the C in the course. But don't forget, there's also a minimum passing grade that you got to get on the final in order to pass the whole class together.
Minimum for the final grade.
Right, right. And if are you a CS major by any chance?
Nah, I'm IT.
Okay, I was gonna say if you were gonna be a CS, you need to get a B. But for the whole class. But
Thank God I'm not.
yeah. So at least now you could just shoot for the C and you'd be able to. I think you'll definitely pull it off.
Thanks,
You just got to, yeah. Just as long as you study and stuff, just don't take it for granted. That's the whole thing. I think a lot of kids on the multiple choice, they just went in and said, oh, I think it's like, they looked at all the lines of code and they're like, oh, I think it's this. I traced it in my head and like circled an answer and like, they kind of took it for granted that, they didn't make the table.
Yeah, I don't really have a problem with the coding part because I'll get most of the points even if I do some parts wrong. I'll get most of the points, but.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of that's a good thing.
Multiple choice that just like screws it all up.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the good thing though is the multiple choice is only 40 points. The coding is 60, right? So if you're able to pull like almost a perfect score on this, you basically guarantee yourself passing grade. So if you could shoot for half of this, right, and you could shoot for most of this, right? So let's say you got 50 out of 60, right? So if you got 20 and then plus 50. You already got yourself a 70. So if you could just get half the multiple choice right, and of course you want to do better. You want to go for as high as you could possibly get. But if you got half the multiple choice right and 5/6 of the programming right, since programming is your strength, since that part is your strength, then you can still pull off a 70 just by doing that. So now imagine if you got like most of the multiple choice and all the pros, like you could get a really high grade. So you just gotta focus for that.
And my professor was telling me that he said after you're done with everything, the class, whatever, they have 3 points that they can add on to your grade at the end. What was it? Like, do you know about that?
Oh, yeah. So if we just jump to the syllabus real quick, I'll show you. Let's see. Computer's a little laggy. Yeah, so if we jump to the syllabus, that's called discretionary points, and it's not 3. I think it might be a little more. It might be 3 now, but they might have changed it. But it used to be 6. Yeah, see, discretionary points, miscellaneous 6%. So what this is basically, that's like, as long as you're like a good student, you're not causing trouble, you do your homework, you go to office hours, like you're gonna get that 6%. So basically, what that means is at the end, like you could have a total possible score of, like let's say you got 100 on everything, you could only have a 94. The professor has the power to give you 6 points, or to keep them. So a person who's got 100 on everything but wasn't like a good kid, didn't do anything, they're only going to get a 94. But if you got 100 on everything and you were good and stuff, then you get the extra 100. So it goes both ways because that's basically for like the professor to give you, but it's also a mandatory part of your score. So that's but most people get all 6 and stuff like that, and then you would just add that just gets added to your score. So like if let's say you have like a D average, but you're really really close to a C minus or a C, the professor might say but if he's a really good kid and stuff,
bump your grade up to the C.
Yeah, exactly, bump your grade up to the C there.
Cool.
So that would be good. And don't forget, some professors I think curve too. It all depends on the individual professor for that part though.
Oh, okay. So like for the grade that you need the C, does that go based off the class or off all the CS classes?
That goes, okay, so the baseline of the C goes based off of, from what I understand, they might have changed it, but from what I understand, the grade that you need to pass this class, or the grade that you need to get a C, or whatever, would be determined by everybody in general. But after that's determined by all the CS100 classes, right, everybody, then each professor for themselves gets to choose how much they want to curve all the grades, or if they want to at all.
Okay.
So you might get lucky and have a professor that says, something, a 60 is a C, but a lot of my guys got 60s, and I'm giving them, I'm curving them 5 points, But then you might get a professor that doesn't curve at all, so then it's just purely based on your grade.
Yeah, I see.
Mm-hmm. So is there anything else you feel like going over?
Nah, man. Thanks for the help, though, man.
Oh yeah, no problem. Anytime, dude.
Are you gonna be like? Are you gonna be free anytime tomorrow?
What's tomorrow? Friday. It's kind of hard for me because I kind of got my own projects going on because I got two final presentations Monday, so I'm trying to finish up some stuff. Do you need like what do you need?
Like I just want to go I just want like in person, just like go through one question with like the tracing, like just seeing the whole thing.
Okay, in person. Okay.
Because it kept lagging and stuff.
Right. Okay, in person. So yeah, so just like meeting up somewhere. Yeah, sure. Sure, dude. Well, yeah. What time? Do you have a time?
I'm gonna be in school. I'm gonna be in school tomorrow because I have to take an exam at like 11:30, so I'll be around there after that.
Okay, yeah, no problem. So what time would that be? Like 2:30? You get out of the exam or something?
I'll be waiting for my brother to finish, so I'll be done. Yeah, 2:30. Yeah.
2:30. All right. So let's plan on Let's see. I'll just grab my pen real quick. Let me see. I'm just pulling out a little slip of paper just so I can write it down to remind myself. So we'll meet at what do you say? You said 2:30. You want to meet? We'll meet at 2:30, and where is it? GIT. Do you know where GITC 3100 is? The place where all the TAs give their office hours.
Yeah, I'll come there.
All right, there. Yeah, that room. So once you go up the elevator, it's right there. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good, man. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
All right, anytime, dude. See you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.
You too.
Thanks.